Welcome to the Master Series. Yet another master has joined me here on the set in the Precious Jewels exhibit at the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum in the heart of downtown Nashville, where the guitars of Jimmy Rogers and Mother Maybelle and Chet Atkins and over our shoulder Hank Williams, folks like that. The great Glen Campbell has joined us with a brand new work called Meet Glen Campbell. Buddy, it is so great to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Last couple of opportunities we've had to sit down and visit at length were induction into the Musicians Hall of Fame across the street, and then prior to that, of course, your induction into the membership of the Country Music Hall of Fame, which was I know how emotional that was. I haven't seen you get emotional a lot through the years, but that night, as you started reminiscing about your mom and dad, it really hit you, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. They would have, because I brought Mom and Dad down here a lot when they're going to Nashville. You know, I'd say, hey, y'all get out. I'd go get them. They didn't want to go anywhere on them airplanes.
Glen Campbell's Meet Glen Campbell project, you didn't want to do, hi, I'm Glen Campbell. After all these years, we're going to meet Glen Campbell 50 years plus after you got started in this business.
I just, you know, when Julian Raymond, when
he's your producer on this album.
Yeah, and I just, boy, they started playing some of them songs, and I said, wow, these are great. Only, like you, I never did a record like it was written, probably, or a song like it was written, but all these things were just straight ahead. You know, we had banjos. It's one of those things again, you know, you really can't peg hold me, you know. It's not country, it ain't rock, it's pop. Jerry Reed said he just called his crock. It's a mixture of all of them together.
I'm glad you mentioned him. Jerry's recent passing brought back, we were talking in the green room before we came out on the set, just how special he was to you and what a true guitar talent. You know, when they lump that top 10, top 15 list of guitarists in this industry in there, your name comes up, Jerry's, of course, Chet I mentioned a little bit earlier, people like that.
But well, Jerry Reed was just a genius claw player, you know. He was awesome.
Now, where did you guys first meet? And he of course, was a part of the television show, The Good Time.
I met him in Nashville.
Yeah.
And then, of course, and we got him. I got him to come out to do the Good Time Hour for his comical stuff, also. And I also really, it was really cool playing with him. And he did a lot of comedy sketches, and but just to sit down in the thing where he and I were sitting down playing that was cool. I like that playing.
On Meet Glen Campbell, what you've done is songs from Jackson Browne to U2, Foo Fighters, Tom Petty, Yoko and John Lennon songs are featured on here. Green Day, I'm going to leave some folks out. Travis is the first thing, which is it's a UK group. A lot of people in the States may not be as familiar with them, but it seems to me, Glenn, it's a sequential order of your life almost, the way you've put the tracks together, because it starts with Sing, which is sing and play is what you've done all your life, and then it ends with John and Yoko's Grow Old With Me, and then we kind of take a journey with you. Was it intentional that you did it that way?
Well, I think Julian Raymond, who produced all this stuff with me, he's just a genius, and he's got good ears, and they got holes in them. That's what's really good. You can get a good cat that's got good ears, but if they ain't got a hole in them, it don't work very well. But Julian, and we corroborated on the thing, and I'm so pleased with the way that it came out, and to get to do a John Lennon song that had not been recorded before was pretty cool. I thought, and Yoko, she gave us the song, man.
And did she not drop you a note?
Yeah.
I kind of overheard a conversation that if it's not too personal, what did she say to you?
It would just say, you know, thanks for doing John's song, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. That's and you know, a couple of more things, but I forgot what they were now. I'm getting so old I forget everything now, which is probably good.
All right. But you would never forget your Arkansas childhood. A little town.
No.
You didn't grow up in a town.
No.
You didn't grow up near a town. You grew up near a community.
Right.
Well, a little place called Delight, Arkansas. Right. And the community was Billstown?
Billstown, Arkansas. It was just a house there. And they used to have a little store, you know, where we could go in and get candy and, you know, necessities. But that's where I grew up, and it was fun. The old Church of Christ Church down there, and my brother Lyndall, it was so funny. they didn't allow music at the Church
I was going to say, no instrumental music, right?
No, right. And he goes, wink, and I said, Lyndall, that's a musical instrument. And I played him a tune on the whistle. He said, no, but we got to use it, Glenn. We're out of tune. I said, you're out of tune anyway. It don't make any difference. I really gigged him a lot on that. But the people growing up in the country, and I'm telling you, we live so far out in the country, nobody lived behind us. Wow. You had to be going there to get there, as they say. It wasn't on the way to no place.
There were 12 of you.
12 kids.
And you're the 7th son?
7th son of 8 boys and 4 girls.
And your mom and dad?
Yeah.
They saw all this stardom go from this young boy who had that, your dad bought that Sears and Roebuck guitar. Mm-hmm. Do you still have that by chance?
Yes, my sister has it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What do you pay for it?
$7.
Wow. And
it still plays good.
And he realized, I guess it was your dad who realized that you had some talent that was far beyond what he had seen, at least in rural Arkansas.
Shorty, all the kids played, you know, and when he got us the guitar, we just kind of, but I latched onto it pretty much, you know. Let me play some, Glenn. Okay, here, you know.
That took you to, as you moved along quickly in your life, you dropped out of school, left school when you were 16 to pursue. Another family member was doing well in the West, out in Albuquerque.
Yeah, a guy that was married to my dad's sister, his name was Dick Bills, and I was going to California. On the way, I stopped and realized that I went with a guy who was going to California. But when I come back to Albuquerque, to see my Aunt Judy, and that's when I stopped in, and I thought, boy, I'd really like to, you know. And Judy, my aunt, she got me into the band. I was 16, I think I was 16 years old. And that was the start of it. We had a 5-day-a-week radio show on KOB.
Big station there now.
Yeah, 50,000 watt clear channel. That's where I saw Elvis the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was the occasion?
I think the Fair and Young show.
Oh, my
Featuring
goodness.
Elvis Presley. That's how old that was.
No kidding.
Poor Farron made the mistake, man, of having his special guest Elvis Presley go on first. Ooh, nobody, I tell you, friends everywhere, nobody could follow Elvis Presley. And I know, you know.
Even at that stage of his life.
Yeah, well, maybe God could follow him. Yes. But it was just awesome. Here's Farron Young singing, hello, walls, hello. And they said, oh, we want Elvis, we want Elvis. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. Elvis Presley was it, folks. That was there, and it always will be, probably.
Did that inspire you seeing something like that? You didn't expect to see when you left Arkansas and headed to the West Coast. Did that inspire you? Man,
it did.
I want to be like that.
Oh, yeah. And Elvis being the second in line, so to speak, it was the Farron Young Show featuring Elvis Presley in little letters. You know? Elvis had his big after that. But it was just, I'd advise anybody, boy, if you got any musical talent at all, it'll come out somewhere. Get a guitar or a mandolin or a fiddle or something and start doing it.
When you rolled into Los Angeles, what were you driving? Do you remember?
I went out with a friend of mine. He had it was a green car, I know. I don't remember what it was. But I went out to L.A. and I went to a session that Jerry Naylor, he was a guy that was a radio guy in Albuquerque, and he had went out too, and he got me in, and I got to see the sessions, and I saw him do a session, and I said, "Wow, man, that's what I want to do." And I got in on that. I moved to California, and started meeting but I made some acquaintances, thank God, that had an inlet to the session guys, and I tried out for it and started doing that, and that's what I did for quite a few years.
And that led you to the work that you did with the Champs on Tequila, I guess. That was your entry there, and then your connection with the Beach Boys. A lot of people say, you know, Glen Campbell was a Beach Boy. Revisionist history a little bit, but you were a tour member, is that correct?
Well, I did the sessions. I played on all the records, but that was me going out and playing bass and singing the high part, and that was the hardest thing I believe I've ever done in show business. It's a little old lady from Pasadena. You know, it would just pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time. Oh, and my cover fell off. That's okay. I don't pop my peas now.
Do you feel more comfortable when you've got, I see you brought a guitar here. Do you feel more comfortable when you're holding a guitar? when you're doing an interview? Is it?
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter really. But I do like to play.
Yeah.
And these are great guitars. I sure like them.
Well, the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum provided that.
Yeah. They may be missing this one when I leave.
You started playing on everybody's records. When I say everybody of note. Frank Sinatra comes to mind. Run down a list of those people in those early days whose music. Stranger in the Night, I guess, was the big Sinatra thing that you played on.
And I did all the Dean Martin stuff, the album cuts, the whole thing. But the Sinatra thing, he just came in. He came in. He did three takes, 2 takes and a half, actually. You know. And I'm sitting there looking at Sinatra like, a swooning cow, I guess you could call it. Because you couldn't take your eyes off of Frank Sinatra when he was singing. And it would be, I think, the people that are here today, if Frank Sinatra was singing, he had that kind of charisma. And he was the best singer. I think he was the best pop singer in the world, ever.
At that point, were you longing to be a singing star, though? As you said, man, I've seen Elvis and what he does. I've seen Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and what they bring. That's ultimately what I want to do? Or when was your singing talent recognized out there?
I was watching I did the Joey Bishop show.
Yeah. When
Joey started with the thing. And I just sat around and chatted with him for about 20 minutes and played songs, sang, and stuff like that. And Tommy Smothers happened to have it on Joey's show. And he saw me. And I had played on their albums, one of the album sets that they did. And anyway, to make a long story short, he said, I didn't know you could sing like that. And I said, well, you never asked me. Anyway, Tommy was wanting to do a summer show. So he made me, he said, can you talk? And I said, well, sure, I'm talking to you, silly. And Tommy and them were funny. Tommy Smothers was a funny man. He said, you want to host it? And I said, yes. And my manager was very pleased. So and the show was in 8 o'clock Sunday night. That's the prime spot for any television show. And I got to do 11 or 12 shows, that summer shows.
With 3 major networks in those days, Glenn, your numbers, your ratings, your viewership was in the tens of millions of people. Why just 3 years?
Well, they hadn't been anything like it on TV. There been stuff that were like it, but not on that scale. Because I'd have every good singer that I knew, or a comedian or whatever, I wanted them on the show. Because you got to have talent on the show if you're going to please an audience,
It introduced, we had a conversation, Billy Bob Thornton was on the Master Series recently. We had a conversation about the variety shows that he and I, being from the same generation, we grew up watching and were introduced to. In any particular show, you could be introduced to comedy and 3 or 4 musical genres in one night.
Oh, yeah.
On a variety show. It seems to me we're lacking in that area.
Yeah. We were lacking, and if it wasn't for Tommy Smothers, there probably wouldn't even be one now. Tommy's the one that brought all that stuff in. There wasn't a musical show on TV that I know of. They'd have shows and specials and stuff like that, but not a weekly show, 6 days a week, And Tommy did that.
You've said that it was an interesting turn of events in your life, that your music, your hit records made you famous enough that people wanted to put you on television and in the movies. And in the movies, in turn, because of the visibility of the movies, people would go back and buy your records that didn't know you before from being an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't acting, that was me. I did. I said,
movies much harder than music for you?
Oh, you kidding me? I just couldn't get it. And it was so slow. That's right, I rode with General Kirby in Shreveport. And it would be an hour and a half before you would say anything else. It was, I wasn't set out for that. I was used to playing my guitar and doing my job and going home. And it was actually, acting was boring for me because I didn't do it that well.
True grit. John Wayne handpicked you, I understand.
Yeah. Well, he knew that I would give him that push he needed to get his Oscar for the first time. I said, boy, that John Wayne must be good if he can stand up with old Glenn there.
But that theme is still one of the great songs ever. Someday, little girl from True Grit. Yeah.
Someday, no, let's see. Someday, little girl, the sadness will leave your face as soon as you've won your fight to get justice done. That was a good song, I thought. Oh, I tell you, to get to work with John Wayne.
Did he give you any, did he coach you at all as an actor?
No.
Really? Did you want him to?
Yeah. I said, wait, he said, just talk. I said, it made sense to me. But I'd get out there and I would be so nervous. It was my first movie and almost the last one. I had one more after that. But it was, I understand you went to Shreveport. When the adrenaline comes in your system, you don't know how high you talk. I think, has anybody here ever had that talk? That happened to them. It was, yeah, I wrote General Kirby, what of it? And it was just.
Well, people had already picked up on that from, hi, I'm Glen Campbell at the start of the television show. That was very much a.
I wouldn't, if I had to choose it over, I wouldn't change a thing, you know. I think I had my shield up a long time ago for somebody trying to make me mad or get my goat or anything like that, you know. I just flat did not like acting. That, you know, it was, you do 2 lines and then you sit around and wait for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Or you'd wait till next week till they got back on that location, maybe. It was just something.
Well, it must be, because you take your stage show, even to this day. I mean, it just moves and
click it right along, and it's fun. When you do something that you know how to do, it's like, you know, it's like anybody, you know, a mechanic, or you know, even if you're picking cotton, if you know how to do it well, you can do it well. You don't have to learn
You've picked cotton,
anything.
so you know.
Oh yeah. I didn't like that picking cotton.
You're back on vinyl, baby. I wanted you to. Vinyl is final.
Yeah,
you know.
the vinyl's better. You couldn't fan yourself for them little old bitty ones.
And if people get the vinyl, there's also a bonus track of a song called Galveston. Oh, right. Galveston.
Boy, that's a good song.
It's this remix.
Yeah.
What did you do differently on the new album?
I didn't do
Meet Glen Campbell.
Oh, the song-wise, you mean?
Yeah, as far as production.
Oh, production. There was I just let Julian hand it. Julian Raymond. I just said, you know, you gave me all the songs, and I looked through them, and I picked out the ones I wanted to do.
How many songs did he bring you?
Oh boy, I don't know. 100.
Really?
Probably 150. I don't know. He had me working.
Did you know groups like Green Day, Foo Fighters, U2? Were you familiar with them already?
Yes, I was familiar with them.
Because you have kids.
Yeah, right. Well, look how they've held up all this time, so they must be very good.
Yeah.
But you know, a good song. If you got a good song, it will hold up. It doesn't matter how you record it. You know, look at "Gentle on My Mind" with Hartford and banjo and me in a rhythm section. Bingo! Here was this big, huge record, "Gentle on My Mind."
Well, it's kind of the theme for your entire musical career, as big as Rhinestone Cowboy and Southern Nights and the early stuff, Galveston. By the time I get to Phoenix, it's still "Gentle on My Mind,"
which
my
favorite.
Wichita Lineman. Is that your favorite?
Yeah, Jimmy Webb got the award for that, for being the most played song of the millennium.
Really?
Of the millennium, I said. That's a long time ago.
How about people who meet Glen Campbell on this new album, and for those who met you 50 years ago, Glenn, have been with certainly over the last 40 years, since the late 60s with your hit records, and hear that voice that has held up so wonderfully. What do you owe that to?
God. God gives you life, and you got to do with it what you will. And I kind of rubbed his nose in the dirt for a while, but yeah, I finally come to my senses and realized, you know, that you gotta do what's good and right and just and fair, and that's the way I try to live my life now. And my darling wife Kim, I'll give her she was
over 25 years you've been together.
Yeah, I got 2 boys and a girl, and they're all in. Ashley's now, she's the last one in college, but I actually put them through college. The boys didn't. I said, well, you're going to go through high school. I told her, if you don't, I'll cut the grub off. But anyway, it was just, it's amazing. You know, I prayed and prayed for a relationship with somebody that would work, because I'd went through some, God knows.
Yeah.
And here come my darling, and that was it.
Those chronicles of the dark times in your life, how accurate is that stuff? How did it affect you?
It didn't affect me, because I acknowledged it. I was very stupid, you know. Somebody said that. He said, "Oh, I'm stupid." Somebody said that one time. It was some guy that had lost almost everything, and he said, "Oh," he was a Mexican guy, and he said, "Oh, I'm stupid," and that's the way my whole time through there. I didn't know. I just kind of woke up one day and saw what kind of a predicament that I was in, you know, and I didn't know if I'd had the willpower to do it. So I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. And we started going to church with me and the family, and it just flat worked out. I moved back to Phoenix, Arizona.
You live in Malibu now?
Yeah, we live in Malibu now.
On your album, Meet Glen Campbell, the song Jesus, Velvet Underground song.
Yeah.
And Lou Reed wrote it, and he talks about feeling as if he is falling from grace.
Yeah.
And he needs Jesus, 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 repeated.
Yeah.
You quote Ephesians in the liner notes, Scripture.
Oh, yeah.
As a support for you.
Oh.
I think that will be very influential on a lot of people out there who are struggling watching this show, Glenn. And did you have that in mind when you recorded that song? Or was that just more of
that was
to make you stronger?
Make me stronger. And you know, if it's people can take, you know, songwriters, you know, singers, the people that's been in the business, when you can always get something from them, you know. And the Jesus song, wow! When I heard that, I said, that's it. That's pleading. I mean, that is really Jesus. Help me find my special place. Help me find my niche. And it's a prayer, is what it is. And the guy put some music to it.
Tom Petty's Walls and Foo Fighters' Times Like These.
Yeah.
They have that lush, full, rich Glen Campbell arrangement that you were known for. And then it seems to me that things like Angel Dream and These Days have more of that gentle on my mind movement to
These days, isn't that a good song? Boy, howdy.
You know, and I made myself a note here that These Days, the Jackson Browne song, would that, of all the songs on this album, would that chronicle your life from beginning to end?
Probably. Well, I hope not end yet.
We
won't rush that one yet.
Are you having the time of your life? Because you do a song called Good Riddance.
Yeah.
Good Riddance, Time of Your
Good
Life.
Riddance,
Green Day
Time
song.
of Your Life.
I hope you had the time of your life.
Time of your life. I hope everybody has the time of their life. You know, God gave us an incredible life here on this earth to live, and you know, a lot of us get on the wrong road sometime, but who doesn't get lost? You know, once in your life or twice in your life. Third time is charm, probably. I hope I never face it.
You make mention in one of the song's lyrics about that highway, which literally our life is this highway that just goes one way. It goes from the beginning to the end, and we do all kinds of detours and things like that, which is great imagery, but the poetry in that,
It's
you know, because we are always moving in one direction.
Yeah, that's
toward the end, so to speak.
I did the songs because every song in there tells something. I mean, that's when the guys were really writing, coming out of their heart, and especially the Jesus, help me find my final place. Yeah, boy, that's a good song.
And you and Miss Kim, Grow Old With Me.
Yeah, Grow Old With Me.
The simplicity of that.
Well, Kim didn't say, I wouldn't grow old, I'll grow older with you. And I said,
Well, in closing, Glenn, from Ephesians, you put in your liner notes, sing to the Lord and make music in your heart to Him. And the first song people hear on Meet Glen Campbell, you get to the chorus, for the love you bring won't mean a thing.
Unless you sing. Unless you sing. Yeah. I really am, Julian Raymond, I'm indebted to him for a while, but my credit's good.
Glen Campbell.
Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you, man.
Thank you for being a part of what we do here.
Right.
From the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum, yet another master on the Master Series. I'm Bill Cody. Thanks so much.